Chin Li had one wild goal: unlock a mythical martial art. The price? Basically his whole life. VM 767. Our 10 long years, he played the quiet game like a champ, bottling it all up for the glow-up of the century. VM 767. Why after day, year after year, he took the LS like clockwork. VM 767. S sister-in-law treated him like background noise, annoying, unnecessary, and easy to ignore. VM 767, mother-in-law. A daily storm of shade and sarcasm, sunny vibes not included. VM 767, wife. Colder than a popsicle in a snowstorm and about as generous with affection as a vending machine with no change. VM 767, Rangers walked on him like he was a doormat with a clearance sticker. Still, not a peep. VM 767, RD spread fast. He became a capital legend, but for all the wrong reasons. VM 767 plot twist. 10 years in stealth mode finally paid off. His secret martial hack was officially go time. VM 767. Another day, another silent pickup duty. Chin Li, still rocking his invisibility cloak. VM 767. He spotted him and her face scrunched like she just stepped in something gross. VM 767. Her eyes rolled so hard they almost needed GPS. Apparently, just existing was embarrassing now. VM 767. Royal Command, engine now, no please, obviously. VM 767. Her backpack made contact like a dodgeball throw. Bonus points for unnecessary attitude. VM 767. According to her, freeloading was his full-time job. Benefits included zero respect. VM 767. Her social rep depended on one rule: keep the embarrassment unit out of sight. VM 767. In Lee's hands twitched on the wheel like they were trying to escape the cringe. VM 767. His knuckles went full ghost mode, but he bit back every word like a pro. VM 767. At home, he disappeared into his training cave, final boss level incoming. VM 767. Where deep inside, the underdog pressed start on his final transformation. Loser status, about to be permanently deleted. VM 767. Onstairs, the hype was real, mother-in-law mode. Matchmaking activated. VM 767. He topic. Swapping Chin Li out like last season's phone. VM 767. He new guy. Childhood buddy, freshly imported from abroad, now rich, shiny, and definitely upgrade material. VM 767. Very compliment she tossed the newcomer felt like another roast aimed at Chin Li. Efficiency at its finest. VM 767. Eventually, she cranked the volume to mom yell, summoning Chin Li for tea duty like he was a part-time butler. VM 767. His sister-in-law dropped by for her daily dose of sass, eyebrows fully weaponized. VM 767. Just in case he forgot, she reminded him. This was not his kingdom, not even close. VM 767. With zero patience and max drama, she marched upstairs and kicked the door open like a budget action hero. VM 767. Hat she found wasn't a slacker. It was Chin Li, shirtless and glowing like he ate a lightning bolt for lunch. VM 767. He did a 180 faster than a cat in a cucumber video. Cue the scream and dramatic exit. VM 767. Meanwhile, Chin Li hit max level, spiritual energy fully uploaded, fingers sparking like a portable power bank. VM 767. He murmured something epic to himself, but the background soundtrack was still stuck on Angry Mom FM. VM 767. He suited up like a hero in the final scene. Cool, clean, zero rush. VM 767. More pushover face. His vibe had officially upgraded to main character energy. VM 767. Ming smiled like a game show host, then tried to bribe him out of the picture with a smooth 100K offer. VM 767. He message. Here's some hush cash, now scram. VM 767. Lee responded with a handshake so intense, it practically rearranged Liu's face. VM 767. Hen came the intro, name drop level, legendary, even threw in a pun for the culture. VM 767. He silent guy, not so silent anymore. Cue the collective jaw drop. VM 767. Meanwhile, the in-laws froze like someone had hit the pause button IRL. VM 767. Humiliated and salty, Lu Mingho lost it. So you were just fake mute this whole time? Mooching off the fam for a decade. VM 767, no shame at all, he added, trying to score a point. But Chin Li just smiled and cranked the handshake of doom. Q Lu's scream and instant regret. VM 767. For the drama could level up more. Chu Zetten's phone buzzed like it knew something big was coming. VM 767. Ni second calm, next second face equals panic mode. VM 767. What? My sister's getting arrested. She gasped loud enough to silence the room. VM 767. In Li's expression sharpened like a drawn sword. He grabbed her shoulder, all business. VM 767, tell me, what happened? His voice cut through the chaos. VM 767. Earns out, his wife's company was a legal disaster zone, and she was the one suspect. VM 767. In Li didn't waste a single heartbeat. He was already out the door. VM 767, T the scene. It was full-blown drama. Reporters, neighbors, and looky-loos yelling like it was a live-streamed scandal. VM 767, Ni lady, face full of boils, was front and center yelling, "Pay me $1 million or enjoy prison life." VM 767, just as things were about to explode, one of King Ying's backup boyfriends stepped in. "You're the only one breaking out. Sounds sus, not science." VM 767, E doubled down, chest puffed. "I know the chief. Keep talking trash and I'll get him to shut you down." VM 767, the woman just smirked. "Cute, I'm Lu Wan, the mayor of Yang City, my baby bro." VM 767, his ego deflated on the spot. Face pale, retreated like it was dodgeball and he saw the ball coming. VM 767, hats when Chin Li stepped up. Calm, solid. "Ms. Lu, 10 minutes, if I fix your face, this ends, deal." VM 767, deal, Lu said, arms crossed. King Ying, totally stunned. VM 767, don't add more chaos, she hissed, visibly stressed. VM 767, E gave her a soft smile. "Let me carry this for once as your husband." The crowd, bursting into laughter. "Wait, that guy, the silent sidekick, wants to be a healer now. This is peak comedy." VM 767, In Li didn't even blink. He walked right to Lu Wan like he was born for this. Confidence, 100%. Doubt, 0. VM 767 boils. "I've got 1,000 tricks for this baby-level stuff." Chin Li scoffed like it was beneath him. VM 767, Yu Wan squinted. "And you are? Who exactly?" VM 767, "Why would I even trust you?" she asked. Chin Li just laughed. "Call me the Gen Z Hua Chuo. If it fails, I'll take the fall, no cap." VM 767, Injaying freaked out, yanked his arm. "Have you completely lost it? Just 'cause you talk now doesn't mean you're Doctor Strange." VM 767. In Li leaned in close and whispered like it was a secret mission. VM 767, "It's just a heat imbalance. Bit of fire inside. I just need a few herbs to chill it out." VM 767, "You sure?" she asked. But seeing no better move, King Ying sighed and bit her lip. "Fine, but I swear if this flops." VM 767. He came back minutes later, herbs in hand, face colder than December. "If this explodes, the Chu family isn't bailing you out." He said nothing. She rolled her eyes and stormed off. VM 767. In Li got to work like a kitchen ninja. Smooth, confident, totally in his zone. VM 767. His wasn't the old mute benchwarmer. Nah, this guy was different. VM 767. Hen poof. A flash of gold lit the pot. The potion was ready. Glorious. VM 767. Fusion of ancient Chinese remedies, modern science, and a sprinkle of main character energy. VM 767. E even gave the goo a name. Something epic. VM 767. Too bad the name was so bad, even dogs would cringe. VM 767. Holding her breath, Lu Wan grabbed the stinky goo. "For the glow-up," she muttered and slapped it on. VM 767. In Li was already there, smiling like a skincare influencer. "Let me help," he said, smearing a chunk on her face like peanut butter. VM 767. "Relax. This stuff's magic." VM 767. Yu Wan gagged hard. What is this?" She bolted to the bathroom like her face was on fire. VM 767. He crowd chuckled, ready for the train wreck. "That dude's finished," someone whispered. VM 767. Then screech. A high-pitched scream rang out. Luwan flew out of the bathroom like a TikTok reveal. "They're gone," she shouted, her skin, flawless, crowd shook. "Yo, this guy's got real sauce." VM 767, "No way," someone whispered. The crowd gasped like they'd just seen a unicorn perform surgery. VM 767, literally everyone froze. You could hear a pin drop or a jaw hit the floor. VM 767, Ven Icy Chu Kingying looked like she just saw her ex rise from the dead. VM 767, Yu Wan's eyes lit up like dollar signs. "Can you fix other stuff too? I'll drop 500K right now." VM 767, In Lee was about to nod, money talks after all. VM 767, Then bam, Kingying stepped in like a bossy big sister. VM 767, "You think you're hot stuff? One mistake and we're not covering your butt," she snapped. VM 767, In Lee sighed, eyes cold. 10 years, and now the Chu family wants to act tough. Please, your background noise. VM 767, in the ER, an old man was clinging to life. The vibe, full-on final boss tension. VM 767, Yu Wan grabbed Chin Lee's arm like a lifeline and spun toward her cousin. VM 767, "This guy's the miracle doc. Trust me." VM 767, her cousin squinted. "He looks 12, license or no deal." VM 767, In Lee just stayed silent. The cousin instantly ticked off. VM 767, "There's zero chance I'm letting some teen TikTok doc touch my dad." VM 767, Suddenly a nurse kicked the door open. "He's crashing." VM 767, Inside, machines were screaming. Heart monitor was doing a roller coaster. VM 767, "He old man." Seconds from game over. VM 767, Yu Wan begged. Her cousin, cold as ice. "I'd rather swan dive out that window than let him near Dad." VM 767, In Lee stepped forward, cool as ever. "Yo, Mayor Liu, let's make it fun. I save him, you apologize publicly. I fail, throw me in jail and call me a scammer." The mayor slammed the table so hard it echoed. "Who the hell do you think you are?" "Get lost," the mayor barked. Chin Lee turned to leave, then boom, alarms shrieked like a horror movie. The old man was tanking. Chin Lee paused, cold heart. Not today, he couldn't just dip. He sprinted back in like it was a boss battle. Out came silver needles, clean, sleek, deadly accurate. He moved like a machine. Flashback, 10 years ago, his martial arts master didn't just teach him how to fight, but how to heal like a legend. The last needle dropped. The whole room went dead silent. Suddenly cough. The old guy hacked up a massive glob of black goop. Gross, but also kinda epic. And then bam, he sat up like nothing happened. Full reboot. Mayor Liu hit the ground with a thud. "Master Chin, I was blind. Please forgive my peasant brain." Lu Wan nearly broke her back bowing. "500,000 transferring now." Chin Lee walked out expecting applause. Nope, just Chu Kingying, arms crossed. "Relax, hero, it was luck, don't let it go to your head." Back home, mother-in-law Han Ying was all warm and fuzzy with Kingying, like sunshine and roses. Then she spotted Chin Lee. Mood switched instantly. "Why are you still breathing my air, useless? Go clean something?" she snapped. Chin Lee cleaned the whole mansion and dragged himself back to his room, totally wiped. And boom, Chu Kingying mid-yoga, draped in a silk nightgown so thin it practically whispered. In 10 years of marriage, he'd never seen this much skin. His brain froze. Still stretching, she casually asked, "Tansy Chin said you were acting sus today?" Chin Lee sighed. "She walked in while I was changing. My bad for not locking the door." "Total accident," he added. She smirked. "Yeah, with your guts. Bet you didn't even look at her." "Anyway," she said, rolling her eyes, "drop the hero act. You just rolled a crit today. Don't get cocky. So don't push your luck." She paused. "Family dinner's tomorrow, you're coming." Chin Lee blinked. "Me?" She raised an eyebrow. He sighed. "Fine, I'll go." Next day, the Chu clan assembled. Cue the passive-aggressive buffet. They barely stepped in and bam, Ant One hits with, "Kingying, seriously. That outfit. Wow, so classy." She didn't even fake it. Then she went full TED Talk about her daughter, Harvard this, CEO that. The room, invisible. Ant 2 slid in with her own dose of shade. "Everyone here's doing great, except that one guy mooching off his wife." Eyes locked on Chin Lee. "Honestly, embarrassing." Then Chen Wen jumped up like it was show and tell. "Uncle, heard you're into porcelain." Grinning like a game show host. "So I dropped 300 mil on this legit Ming Dynasty bowl. All for you." The room lost it. Gasp, applause, a few wows. Everyone was fawning, but Chin Li, one look and he smelled fraud. Total fake, not even a good one. Shen Wen smirked. So bro-in-law, what did you bring? Oh wait, that's right. You just stand there like a background NPC. Actually, he added, my company needs janitors, want me to hook you up. I'll even give you a glowing reference. You clean floors like a pro, right? Bang, King Ying slammed her cup like she was dropping the beat. Enough. Say what you want. Chin Li's still family. And you don't get to trash him under my roof. Chin Li was boiling, but then she defended him. The same woman who used to roast him daily just went full ride or die. He stood up slow, eyes like daggers. The room, dead silent. Yeah, I didn't bring a gift, he said, voice sharp. But if I had, it'd outclass that fake antique trash 10 times over. His aunt launched up like a faulty spring, finger locked on target. How dare you drag Chen Wen? You useless clown. Chin Li didn't flinch, just scoffed. Believe whatever, that bowl. It's fake, boom. Chen Wen rage quit logic. Bam, table slam, wine glass sacrificed. Wine hit the floor, Chen Wen lost it. You broke scrub, got any proof or just vibes? Chin Li opened his mouth, ready to clap back. When boom, doors flew open. Mayor Liu Zhang walked in, trailed by a silver fox senior who looked like he owned ancient secrets. Chen Wen 180D so fast he almost snapped his neck. Grin equals activated. He practically speedran to the mayor with handshake energy. But Liu ghosted him hard, walked right past and grabbed Chin Li's hand. Mr. Chin, finally found you. Chen Wen frozen EXE, jaw loading. Mayor Liu, you sure? That guy's like a mute side quest character. Liu's eyes went full Death Note. One glare and Chen Wen almost hit the floor. Then he faced Chin Li, whispered something cold and sliced the air with his hand. Like say the word and he's done. You want him gone? Dude won't even see sunrise. Chin Li smiled coolly. No need, Mayor Liu. We're just arguing over fake pottery. The second he heard porcelain, the old man perked up like a collector at Comic-Con. He grabbed the bowl and got real close. At first glance, it looked legit, drip detail all on point. Chin Li smirked. You sure that's the real deal or just fancy cosplay? The elder's vibe shifted, felt like he was being challenged. But Chin Li, ice cold, didn't blink. Right when it felt like a boss fight was about to drop. Boom, the elder cracked up and clapped Chin Li's shoulder. No wonder Mayor Liu treats you like a rare Pokémon. You nailed it. This bowl, grade A scam, looks good, totally fake. Then he dropped a horror DLC. Worse, it's got that death energy, real cursed vibes. It's been chilling with a corpse underground. Long-term roommate status. Bottom line, it's cursed AF. Everyone froze like a glitch. Same people roasting Chin Li now side-eyeing Chen Wen like he's ground zero. Fingers flying, insults launching. Straight up betrayal speedrun. That fake aunt, she 180D so hard her neck cracked, smiling like they've been besties since diapers. Mayor Liu pulled Chin Li aside, whispering, real talk, ever since that bowl showed up my dad's health tanked. Now my whole fam's sick, but docs say we're fine, it's weird. Chin Li nodded, checked his pulse like a pro. Yup, dark energy. The kind you don't Google. He looked serious. Don't stress, Mayor Liu. As soon as this cringe fest ends, I'm at your place. I'll fix this permanently. Mayor Liu smiled like he just got the DLC for peace of mind. Thank you, Mr. Chin. I'll be waiting. 1 hour, 3 fake smiles, and 10 awkward toasts later. The banquet was finally done. Chin Li was playing taxi service, hauling his wasted father-in-law into the car like it was a workout challenge. Just as they were about to dip, Chin Li turned to Chu Qingying. Got some business to handle. You guys go ahead. Don't wait for me. As their ride faded, Chin Li pulled up the GPS, locking in Mayor Liu's address like he was heading to the final boss fight. The GPS chimed in like a plot twist. Sharp turn ahead. Turn right. He took the turn and bam. Liu Ming and a dozen goons, armed with bats and sticks, blocking the alley like it was a high-stakes showdown. Liu Ming's bratty grin was twisted into pure malice, like he was about to unleash a level 100 tantrum. Chin Li, break 2 fingers right now, or I'll make it worse. Do it, and maybe, just maybe, I'll let you go. Chin Li just chuckled, calm as ever. Liu Ming, you really don't know when to quit, do you? Liu Ming grinned, all smug. Too scared? Nah, I'll be more than happy to break them for you. Without a second's notice, Liu Ming's face twisted into full-on rage mode. Get him, whoever snaps his arm gets 50K. The thugs charged like they hadn't eaten in days, all claws out. Chin Li snorted. No fear, just pure cold. In a blink, he moved, his kick launching the green-haired thug like a ragdoll. One backhand later, the leopard print muscle head was smashed into the wall, out cold. Less than a minute, every thug was down, writhing like they'd met a wrecking ball. Chin Li casually stepped on one of them, looking like he just finished a warm-up. Chin Li flicked a finger at Liu Minghe, who was frozen in place. That all you got? Doesn't look like enough. Liu Minghe's face drained of color. He stumbled back, muttering, "W what the hell? How are you? This strong all of a sudden." Before he could finish, Chin Li took one step forward. Liu Minghe screamed, spun around, and ran for his life. "Don't you dare come closer. Stay back." Chin Li glanced at the thugs writhing in the alley and just shook his head, walking past them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Chin Li pulled up to Mayor Liu's villa like it was game time. He barely had time to press the doorbell. The door slammed open. Mayor Liu, eyes bloodshot and voice ragged, grabbed him. "Mr. Chin, thank God you're here. Hurry, please. Xiao Jai's getting worse." No hesitation, Chin Li followed him up to the bedroom. As the door swung open, a chill rushed over them. The mayor's wife was slumped on the floor, face pale, eyes wide with terror. Above the bed, a dark spirit wrapped in black mist had Xiao Jia floating in midair, its grip tightening. The boy's face was pale as a ghost. His eyes rolled back, his body limp, out cold. Without wasting time, Chin Li pulled out his silver needles, ready to channel his energy. But then the spirit twisted, taking control of Xiao Jai's body. It screamed in pure rage, "Don't touch me, get out." No hesitation. Chin Li focused, then hurled a needle like a lightning strike. The needle hit the spirit dead on, shattering its form and forcing it back into the boy's body. Mayor Liu rushed forward to grab his son, but Chin Li stopped him. "Don't touch him. It's not over. I need to get rid of it for good." Just then the mayor's wife started twitching, her eyes glazed, her body jerking uncontrollably. She lunged at Chin Li, trying to stop him from finishing the ritual. Sensing the danger, Chin Li pulled out more needles. "Damn, it's spreading to the others. I need to move fast." He focused, then drove a silver needle straight into Xiao Jai's forehead. The boy screamed, a sound full of pure agony. In the next moment, a dark shadow exploded out of him. The evil spirit had been expelled. Without a second thought, Chin Li hurled another silver needle at the spirit. It hit its mark, and the dark force vanished into thin air. Xiao Jai gasped, his eyes snapping open. He was finally awake. Chin Li rubbed his chin, then turned to Mayor Liu. "He's fine now, but the real issue is still out there. We need to track down the source of this evil energy." Chin Li paced the villa, checking every corner. "Mayor Liu, have you gotten any strange gifts lately?" Liu Zhang paused, then remembered. "Actually, someone gave me a pair of stone lions a while back. There by the front door." Chin Li moved straight to the front door. And sure enough, something was off. One of the lion statues had a stone stuck in its mouth. He grabbed it and turned to Liu Zhang. "This is it. This stone has heavy dark energy. It's been placed at your front door, infecting everyone who passes by." With a flick of his finger, Chin Li shattered the stone, and the dark aura instantly evaporated. The mayor's wife rushed up, regret written all over her face. "Mr. Chin, I'm sorry for how I acted before." Mayor Liu smiled gratefully. "Mr. Chin, we owe you everything. I've been meaning to ask, have you ever considered opening your own clinic?" Chin Li rubbed his chin, intrigued. "A clinic, huh?" Liu Xing nodded. "You saved my whole family. Let me fund the clinic as a token of my gratitude." "What do you think?" Chin Li smiled slightly and nodded. "In that case, I'll gladly accept. Thank you, Mayor Liu." On the ride home, Chin Li stared out the window, deep in thought. "If I open a clinic, I could save more people. Then all these 10 years of training won't be wasted. And maybe, if I find my parents one day, they'll be proud of me." Suddenly, a familiar figure caught his eye outside. He sat up straight, then told the driver, "Stop the car." Squinting through the window, he whispered, "Isn't that Chu Qingying? What's she doing here this late?" He leaned in closer, watching her carefully. The driver chuckled. "You've got good taste, kid. She looks like some high-class heiress." A red-haired woman walked up to Chu Qingying and greeted her warmly. Chu Qingying let out a sigh of relief. Just a girl's night out. I was overthinking." But in the next second, the redhead kissed Chu Qingying on the cheek and flashed her a sly, flirtatious grin. Chu Qingying's jaw nearly hit the floor. "What the heck? Is she cheating on me? With a woman?" The driver peeked over and smirked. "You've got some pretty interesting taste, buddy." "Interesting taste, my friend." Chu Qingying slumped against the window, totally stunned and speechless. He watched helplessly as the redhead looped her arm around Chu Qingying, and the two walked into a nearby bar, laughing. Inside, the redhead made a subtle gesture to the bartender. "Xiao, bring out that special bottle I've been saving." She pulled Chu Qingying close and whispered, "My little darling, I've missed you so much. I thought you'd forgotten all about me." Chu Qingying leaned against her, tipsy and exhausted, mumbling about all the stress she'd been dealing with at work. The redhead poured another drink, giving her a comforting smile. "Come on, forget about all that stress for tonight. Let's drink till we drop, just the two of us." After a few drinks, Chu Qingying started to loosen up. She sighed, slurring a little. "You really get me. If I hadn't wanted to dodge that arranged marriage, I wouldn't have picked Qin Li to be my husband. And now all this pressure is killing me." The redhead chuckled softly, brushing her hair back. "My poor baby, here, finish this one too." As she watched Chu Qingying down drink after drink, the redhead's smile shifted into something much darker. In minutes, Chu Qingying was completely passed out. The redhead helped Chu Qingying to her feet and quietly guided her upstairs to a guest room. The door opened, and standing there was none other than Liu Ming. He gently laid Chu Qingying down on the bed. A video camera was already set up nearby, pointed straight at her. Liu Ming flashed a cold, creepy grin at her. "Don't blame me, okay? You just wouldn't divorce that loser. I had no choice." With that, he turned to the camera, ready to start recording the trap he'd meticulously set. Just then, a knock came at the door. Liu Mingha's face twisted in irritation. "Who the heck is interrupting me right now?" A voice answered from outside. "Delivery for some protection?" Liu Ming grinned. That woman really thought of everything. He opened the door, only to find himself face to face with Qin Li, whose eyes burned with anger. "Surprised to see me." Liu Minghe froze in shock. "Line 296 seems incomplete, so I skipped this one. This isn't what it looks like." "I swear she was just drunk." Before Liu Ming could finish, Qin Li lunged forward and kicked him in the chest. The impact sent him flying several meters back. Liu slammed into the floor, coughing up blood, groaning in pain. Qin Li walked over and looked down at him coldly. "So, how do you want to die?" Terrified, Liu Ming had dropped to his knees, trembling. "Please have mercy, Kinbro. I'll leave, I swear. I won't come back. Look, I'm bleeding already." Qin Li stared him down. "Fine, then get out of my sight and stay gone." Liu nodded frantically, mumbling thanks, and crawled away. But as expected, he tried to sneak attack the moment Qin Li turned his back. Qin Li was ready. He dodged easily, his voice icy. "I spared you twice. You really don't learn, do you?" He pulled a silver needle from his sleeve. With one clean move, he jabbed it down. Liu Minghe screamed in agony as the needle hit its mark. He collapsed, writhing in pain, foaming at the mouth. Qin Li looked down at him coldly. "You brought this on yourself." Then, with a swift kick, he sent Liu Ming flying out of the room. After closing the door, Qin Li let out a breath of relief. "Good thing I made it in time." He took out his silver needles and began applying his healing technique to sober Chu Chinian up. Soon she started to stir and slowly opened her eyes. Chinian smiled brightly. "You're awake, how are you feeling?" But when Chu Chinian looked down and saw her disheveled clothes, her face instantly darkened. She sat up suddenly and slapped Chinian across the face. "You monster!" Chinian stared at her, deeply hurt. "I just saved your life and you hit me." "What the hell?" Chu Chinian shouted back, furious. "Save me? You probably tried to take advantage of me while I was unconscious. I don't believe a word you're saying. Not even a eunuch would fall for that excuse." Qin Li said nothing more. He stood up and walked out of the room, his face cold. "I didn't do anything. Believe it or not, it's up to you." Behind him, Chu Qingying yelled, "Qin Li, you bastard!" She sat on the bed, conflicted and angry. A soft click echoed nearby. She turned and saw the video camera light blinking. A realization hit her. Outside the hotel, she and Li got a call from Lu Wan. "Hey, that ointment you gave me last time? It's amazing. Can I order a big batch? Maybe with some skin whitening added." Li replied casually, "Sure. How much do you need? I'll prep some." Lu Wan laughed. "Start with 200 sets. I'll wire you 2 million right now." Li responded calmly, "No problem, but you're sending way more than it costs." Lu Wan chuckled on the phone. "I heard from my brother. You're opening a clinic, right? You'll need a lot of money later on. Think of the rest as an early investment." Li smiled gratefully. "Thank you, Sister Lu." And just like that, Li became a millionaire overnight. Back home, Chu Qingying sat anxiously in the living room, still awake at 1 a.m. After reviewing the security footage, she realized she'd misunderstood him. She hugged her knees, thinking, "It's so late. He's still not back. Did I really hurt him that badly by slapping him?" Then the sound of the door unlocking broke the silence. Chin Li walked in, and the room filled with awkward tension. Chin Li headed toward the stairs, but Chu Kingen blurted out, "Why are you back so late?" Chin Li noticed the shift in her tone. "What's wrong with you tonight?" Clutching a pillow tightly, Chu Kingen whispered, "I might get fired from my company. Some coworkers have been gossiping about me and Lu Wan. Management's pressuring me to resign." Chin Li sighed and said gently, "Even if you do, it's not the end of the world." That made Chu Kingen snap. "Not the end of the world. If I lose my job, how are we supposed to survive?" Chin Li quickly explained, "That's not what I meant. Remember when I helped cure someone before? It was Mayor Lu's father. Then his son, too. As a thank you, he gifted me a clinic. Plus, with what I've earned, if you're willing, you can help me run it." Chu Kingen stared at him skeptically, her heart wavering. "A clinic? Is he just saying that to cheer me up?" Kingen simply turned and went upstairs, leaving behind a quiet sentence. "The clinic will be ready soon. Think about it. And let me know." Chu Kingen dismissed Chin Li's words from the night before as just a way to cheer her up. The next morning, Chin Li was rudely awakened by the non-stop doorbell. Rubbing his eyes, he muttered, "If bad luck had a face, it'd be hers." Standing at the door was none other than their old college classmate and Chu Kingen's best friend, Tan Zikin. She strutted in, immediately pointing at Chin Li with disdain. "I'll never understand how Kingen ended up with you. Talk about a flower stuck in a pile of cow dung. A toad dreaming of a swan." Chin Li's expression froze as a memory hit him. "This woman once put chili powder in my underwear back in college." From the stairs, Tan Zikin shouted, "Chin Li, hurry up. You promised to go shopping today." Chin Li found himself stuck as the chauffeur. But instead of the mall, Tan Zikin led him to a towering high-rise downtown. She grinned proudly. "This is the city's most exclusive auction house. Only elite guests are allowed inside." Flashing her gold membership card, she casually told the guard, "That driver in the back. He's with us too." As the elevator doors opened, Tan Zikin practically bounced with excitement. "The best part here, they do live gemstone gambling. You bid on uncut stones, and they crack them open right there. It's either double the value or a total loss. Isn't that thrilling?" With a mischievous glint in her eyes, she nudged Chin Li. "Since you're already here, why not buy a stone for her?" Chin Li remained calm. With that, the two women rushed off to check out the stones, leaving Chin Li wandering around, clearly uninterested in gambling on rocks. As he strolled aimlessly, something in the corner caught his eye, a neglected section labeled Scrap Zone. From that area, he felt a faint ripple of spiritual energy. Oddly enough, it resonated perfectly with the power flowing through him. "Come on, just say you want that stone. Let's see if Chin Li will actually pay up. If he dares to cheap out, I'll wring his neck myself." Su Qingying turned to respond, but Chin Li was nowhere in sight. Over at the scrap zone, Chin Li pointed to a dull-looking stone and asked for the price. The staff member sneered, "Those, just junk. $100 each if you really want one." Chin Li dug through his pockets and found just enough cash. "I'll take this one. Cut it open now, please." From across the room, Tan Zikin noticed and stomped her foot in fury. "He's picking from the junk pile, still the same loser." Absolutely embarrassing, she stormed over and yelled, "You seriously expect to give Chu Qingying a worthless rock?" But before she could finish, a staff member at the cutting machine screamed in shock. "It's emerald green, high-grade jade." Tan Zikin froze, speechless. People nearby rushed over, crowding around the stone. A wealthy collector shouted in disbelief, "This is premium ice jade, an absolute treasure. Found in the scrap zone, this is insane luck." Within minutes, the entire scrap zone was swarmed, everyone scrambling to grab what was left. A sultry woman approached Chin Li, leaned in close, and whispered, "Handsome, why don't you sell me this gem? I promise you a very special thank you later tonight." Suddenly, a deep, commanding voice rang out from behind. "That stone's worth at least 5 million. The crowd parted, revealing none other than Mr. Tan, Tan Zikin's father and a major player in the city's jade and gemstone trade. He stepped forward and addressed Chin Li directly. "Young man, how about I offer you 5 million for it?" Chin Li responded politely, "I bought this stone for my wife. If she's willing, I have no objection." Chu Qingying hesitated for a moment, her gaze fixed on the stunning green jade in Chin Li's hands. After a brief pause, she smiled gently. A fine gem deserves someone who truly appreciates it. Mr. Tan chuckled heartily. Still as eloquent as ever, Chu Qingying. He turned to his assistant. Prepare the check. Then, as if struck by a thought, Mr. Tan pulled out another raw stone he'd just won at auction. Young man, since your judgment's so sharp, would you mind taking a look at this one, too? Chin Li examined the stone carefully, then calmly replied, It's just a regular rock, nothing valuable. The room erupted in gasps. Some even laughed out loud. Who does this guy think he is? Even Chu Qingying frowned slightly. Blind already. These stones are hand-picked by experts, and this one was chosen by Mr. Tan himself. How could this possibly be worthless? Mr. Tan chuckled. Let's not argue. Cutting it open will tell us everything. Tan Zikin scoffed at Chin Li with a smirk. Your lucky streak won't last. This is your first time gambling on jade, and now you think you know more than my dad. But when the stone was split open, the entire room went silent. It appeared green on the outside, but the inside was riddled with cracks, completely worthless. Surprisingly, Mr. Tan wasn't mad at all. Instead, he laughed heartily. I knew I wasn't wrong about you. My jade business could really use an expert like you. Ever thought about becoming an appraiser? Chin Li was about to decline, but Mr. Tan waved his hand. No rush, think it over. You can let me know next time. On the way home, Chu Qingying finally broke the silence. When did you learn how to appraise jade? Chin Li handed her the check and replied lightly. I read a few books. If you're interested, I can teach you. But instead of taking it, Chu Qingying slapped the check away and shouted, You've been lying to me this whole time. Why pretend to be some mute loser? Chin Li paused, the anger in her voice echoing in his mind. And then a memory surfaced. 10 years ago, a calm, ethereal voice had spoken to him. Child, those who train in this soul-channeling manual will rise to greatness in 10 years. But during this time, you need to keep your voice sealed to preserve your spiritual energy. This is a fate you can't escape. Chin Li looked at her seriously and said, I didn't lie. For 10 years, I really was mute. Chu Qingying looked at him seriously. Then why did you even want to marry me back then? Chin Li's eyes softened. Remember, back when everyone mocked me for being mute. You were the only one who stood up for me. Chu Qingying blinked, and a faint blush crept up her cheeks as those long-buried memories rushed back. So when you came to me after graduation asking to get married, I was actually kind of happy. Even if I knew I was just a shield for you. She turned her head, her voice quieter. Did you ever resent me for that? Chin Li shook his head with a gentle smile. Resent you? Never. To me, you've always been my wife. Her face turned crimson. She covered her ears and muttered, Ugh. Chin Li, what's with you suddenly saying stuff like that? The vibe in the car instantly got warm and a little awkward. Trying to break the tension, Chin Li cleared his throat. Anyway, my clinic opens tomorrow. Wanna come check it out? Chu Qingying looked at him, totally surprised. You weren't joking. Treating people isn't something you just do. Chin Li replied casually, Relax. I'm just treating colds and minor stuff. No big deal. Chu Qingying glared at him, half worried, half frustrated. Don't be ridiculous. If anything goes wrong, no one else is going to jail for you. Watching Chin Li's calm expression, Chu Qingying snuck a glance at him and silently scolded him. Idiot, can't you tell I'm just worried about you? Today was supposed to be a happy day. Chin Li's clinic was officially opening, but as soon as they arrived, his aunt and uncle started their usual sarcastic jabs. Wow, the Chu family really hit the jackpot. When did Chin Li become a doctor? Just hope this place isn't a scam. Chin Li's father-in-law smiled proudly and replied, No need for you to worry. My son-in-law is always full of surprises. Just recently, he saved Mayor Liu's whole family. The clinic, a gift straight from the mayor. In the tense atmosphere, Chen Wen sneaked up to Chin Li, whispering a threat. You think being buddy-buddy with the mayor makes you untouchable? Opening a clinic like this, you're just asking for trouble. Chin Li turned to him calmly. I'm curious, how's running a clinic supposed to be a death sentence? Shunwen sneered. Don't forget your clinic's under our people's watch. And after the humiliation you gave me last time, let's just say I've been waiting. Before he could finish, Mayor Liu walked in with a fruit basket, smiling warmly. The sight made Chen Wen turn pale, sweat pouring down his face. What the hell? What's the real deal between Chin Li and the mayor? Just as casual talk started, A loud noise came from the entrance. Everyone looked toward the door. A man rushed in, carrying a child foaming at the mouth, shouting in panic. "My son, wake up. Somebody help." Without hesitation, Chin-Li pushed through the crowd. "I'm a doctor. Let me check him out." His in-laws tried to stop him in panic. "This is serious. He needs a hospital. Don't do something crazy. This is way out of your league." Chen Wen stood off to the side, arms crossed, grinning meanly. "Looks like the clinic's done for on day one. Let's see how he gets out of this one." The boy's dad, overwhelmed, dropped to his knees. "Please, doctor, please save my son. He's all I have left." Chin-Li calmly helped him up. "I'll do everything I can. Bring him inside now." Inside the clinic, Chin-Li gently laid the boy on the exam table. Focusing, he did a detailed internal scan. It didn't take long to find the problem. "Your son's been poisoned," he said firmly. "What's he eaten recently?" The dad looked confused. "That's impossible. He's always with the neighbor when I'm working. There's never been an issue." His voice cracked, tears streaming down his face. "My wife died years ago. I work to pay for his school. He's all I've got." He took a deep breath, readying his next move. His fingers glowed softly as he focused his energy. Then a mocking voice came from the door. "I heard this guy just got his license, and he's already treating patients." "That's both." The crowd gasped. "Wait, what? He's that new? Someone call a real doctor. This place should be shut down before someone dies." Even the boy's dad lost it, shouting in panic. "You should have said you couldn't treat him. You're gambling with my son's life." Despite the chaos, Chin-Li stayed calm, his voice steady. "His condition is critical. If we wait even a second longer, it's over. I need to act now." As Chin-Li finished speaking, the boy's condition worsened. His face went pale and his limbs started twitching. Chin-Li narrowed his eyes and shouted, "Everyone back up. Stay clear." Without hesitation, he grabbed his silver needles and focused his energy. His hands moved like water, the needles piercing the boy's vital points with perfect precision. Energy flowed through the needles, entering the boy's body. It formed a protective flow that began flushing out the toxins. The boy trembled, his face twisted in pain. Then suddenly, he sat up and threw up a thick stream of black liquid. The dad cried out and rushed to him, hugging his son tight. "I'm so sorry, son. It's all my fault." The boy weakly opened his eyes and whispered, "Dad, I'm hungry. Can we get my kings?" The dad laughed through his tears, nodding. "Yes, yes, we'll get whatever you want." Chin-Li calmly packed up his tools. "He's stable now, but if you're still worried, take him to the hospital for a follow-up." The dad bowed repeatedly, eyes full of tears. "You're incredible, truly a miracle doctor." The room's mood flipped. The same crowd that doubted Chin-Li moments ago now cheered. "I can't believe he saved the kid. I thought he was a fraud, but he's the real deal." Outside in a dark alley, Liu Ming punched the wall, furious. The boy's accident was part of a plan Liu Ming had set up to ruin Chin Li's clinic on its opening day. Damn it, I didn't expect him to save the kid. Now everyone's praising him. Next to him stood an old man in a dark robe. His voice was cold. "Relax, let him enjoy his moment, it won't last long." That night, exhausted from the day's chaos, Chin-Li was locking the back gate of his clinic. Suddenly, he heard a faint rustling from the bushes. From behind the trees, a blood-soaked woman stumbled out, clutching a knife, barely able to stand. Chin-Li instinctively stepped forward. "Are you here for treatment?" But the woman's eyes suddenly hardened. She lunged at him, knife raised. "Wait, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor." But before he could finish, she collapsed at his feet, unconscious. Chin-Li sighed, glancing down at the stranger. "Great, looks like I'm pulling another all-nighter." After stabilizing her, he called Chu Qingyin. "Qingyin, I've got a critical patient here. I won't be coming home tonight." On the other end, she snapped, "Why don't you just live at that clinic forever?" The call ended abruptly. Chin-Li rubbed his temples and sighed. "Guess I'll need to buy her a gift or 10. As he bandaged the woman's wounds, he noticed a broken tag hanging from her neck. Squinting, his eyes widened. The tag read, Division 19 Special Operations Unit. Chin-Li muttered in disbelief. Division 19. What's one of their agents doing here? After hours of care the next morning, the woman finally stirred and opened her eyes. As she opened her eyes, she squinted to focus on Chin-Li's face. "You saved me," she whispered. Chin-Li responded calmly. "If I'd found you 2 minutes later, it would have been too late." She struggled to sit up, pushing against the pain shooting through her body. Despite her injuries, she tried to stand. Chin Li stepped closer. Where exactly do you plan on going? Her eyes clouded with confusion. I don't have a home. I don't know where to go. Chin Li glanced at her torn clothes and bruised body. Well, I happen to need an assistant here. The pay's not great, but it's a start. Her eyes widened in disbelief, clearly not expecting the offer. Then with renewed resolve, she straightened up. You saved my life. That life now belongs to you. If there's ever something you need, I'll follow you through fire if I have to. Suddenly, the clinic's front door echoed, with loud banging and frantic shouting. Chin Li, open up. Before he could react, Tan Ziqian barged in like a storm. Chin Li blinked at her disheveled state. Are you sick? She asked. Rolling her eyes, she added, You're the one who's sick. I'm here to drag you to the City Jade tournament. You're repping the Tan family now. Without waiting for a response, she grabbed his wrist and hauled him outside. Soon enough, they arrived at the competition grounds. Mr. Tan's face lit up as soon as he saw Chin Li. You're finally here. I've been waiting anxiously. Chin Li scratched his head, a bit embarrassed. Sorry for the delay. Mr. Tan grinned warmly. This year's tournament, we're counting on you. Chin Li raised an eyebrow. Wait, you mean I'm not just here to consult? Mr. Tan patted his shoulder, still smiling. I've seen your skills firsthand. We need you in this one, Chin Li. He continued, explaining the format. The competition has two parts, raw stone selection and carving. Whoever gets the best material and creates the finest piece wins the auction and the championship. Mr. Tan turned around, gesturing toward a group of sharply dressed young men. These four will be your advisory team for the competition. From here on out, you'll be working together. Then he added with a pat on Chin Li's shoulder. And if we win the championship, I'll throw in an extra 10% equity just for you. Tan Ziqian leaned in, smirking playfully. And if you refuse, I'll make sure Chu Kingian hears all about it. Caught in the crossfire of persuasion and threats, Chin Li let out a resigned chuckle. All right, I'll do my best. On the competition floor, Chin Li began carefully inspecting the raw stones, focused on every curve and hue of the surface. But behind him, one of the advisors scoffed, loud enough for him to hear. Look at this kid. Thinks he can pick stones like the pros. Chin Li simply smiled and replied politely, Since I'm here, might as well try my luck. One of them sneered and tossed him a bank card. Here, there's $1,000 left on this. Have fun with that. Chin Li looked at the card, frowning. I thought the budget was in the millions. The group burst into mocking laughter. Mignon, please, you ever seen that much money? You should be grateful for what you got. With a final scoff, they walked off without another word, leaving Chin Li standing alone with the card in hand. Chin Li clutched the bank card with only 1,000 yuan left on it, standing somewhat out of place amidst the bustling crowd. Alone, he wandered around the auction hall, eyeing the raw stones on display. Then something caught his eye, a small, dusty stone tucked away in the discard zone. While others scrambled to bid on million-dollar roughs, Chin Li calmly chose a piece priced at just 20,000 yuan. A staff member stepped over, slightly surprised. Sir, are you sure you want this one? Chin Li casually handed over a sleek, gold-plated card. This card alone is worth over 50 grand in gold. Let's just call it even. As he rolled the stone back toward his group, the advisors burst into laughter. So what did our rookie pick up? A river pebble? The lead consultant sneered. Do yourself a favor and step back. Being a lead appraiser for Tan Group isn't something a novice like you can handle. Chin Li remained calm. Whether the stone wins anything or not, I never asked to be anyone's lead appraiser. Just then, Mr. Tan approached with a genial smile. Everyone done choosing their stones. One of the bespectacled advisors leaned in and whispered confidently, We got two of the best pieces in the whole lot. We're guaranteed top 3. Mr. Tan glanced at the stones on the cart and gave a nod of approval. Suddenly, a greasy, overdressed man swaggered in, flanked by his entourage. A smug grin on his face. Still showing your face around here, Tan. He mocked. After I snatched that last supply deal from under you, I figured you'd learned your lesson. Guess not. Mr. Tan forced a tight smile, responding coldly. No need to worry about us, Mr. Chin. Mr. Chin shifted his gaze to Chin Li, sneering. Didn't think you'd resort to bringing in amateurs just to fill a spot. He turned to leave with his entourage, throwing one last jab over his shoulder. If you're smart, pack up now and head back to Yang City. Yang City's out of your league. With the opening announcement, the Jade competition officially kicked off. Mr. Tan leaned toward Chin Li. Brother Chin, where's the stone you picked? Chin Li calmly pulled out the rough he bought for just 20,000 yuan. The advisors burst into laughter again. That, you actually brought that to compete. You've got guts, I'll give you that. Mr. Tan's expression darkened. A stone that cheap? It's probably worthless. Maybe I misjudged him after all. The first contestant stepped up to the cutting table. With one clean cut, a brilliant green flash lit up, top-tier imperial jade. The crowd went wild as the bidding shot past 40 million instantly. The advisor with glasses wiped sweat off his brow. This is bad. That's the kind of piece that wins the crown. As the competition neared its final rounds, the 10 groups lined up. Nervously, the advisors rolled their expensive stone onto the stage. Please, just a hint of green. The advisor mumbled as the cutter started working. From the stands, Qinlai just watched in silence, already knowing what would happen. That stone's a waste of hundreds of thousands. With a final cut, the room went silent, then gasps echoed. The stone cracked open, showing nothing but dull, lifeless white. The advisors looked like ghosts, slumped in their chairs. How did this happen? That's 5 million gone. Mr. Tan hung his head in despair, his voice barely audible. Tan Group, it's over. Suddenly the host raised his hand and shouted, Wait. Tan Group still has one more stone to cut. All eyes turned as Qinlai calmly stepped forward, holding a small, ridiculed stone. As the blade of the cutter sliced through, the room fell into suspense. A brilliant green glow burst out, imperial jade, vivid, pure, and gleaming. Mr. Tan's hands shook as he muttered, If only we'd given Sheen the full budget, we could have taken the crown. Suddenly the host shouted again, disbelief in his voice. Wait, he's still cutting. That's premium jade. Is he insane? Mr. Tan rushed forward, trying to stop Sheen, but it was too late. The blade descended, and from within the green, a fiery red light erupted. Gasps filled the room as at the heart of the imperial jade lay a glowing core, blood jade. The host's voice shook with excitement. This is a double-layered imperial jade, a jade within jade. The last time something like this appeared, it sold for over $1 billion. That was all it took. The entire venue exploded. Cameras flashed, jaws dropped, and even rival competitors stood stunned in silence. Qinlai held the blood jade aloft, his voice steady and firm. This was the stone selected by Tan Group. The room instantly erupted. Billionaires, collectors, and investors began shouting bids, one after another. Meanwhile, in the VIP balcony, a sharply dressed young man stood, his eyes locked on the jade below. Beside him, an elderly man suddenly doubled over, coughing violently. His face darkened. The young man rushed to help him. Grandfather, your condition's getting worse every day. The old man weakly waved him off. I'm old, my body's giving out. A moment later, he spat out dark blood, his breathing shallow. Back in the auction hall, the blood jade was sold for a record-breaking $2 billion. The audience erupted in applause as Tan Group was declared the champion. As Qinlai turned to leave, Mr. Tan called out. In front of everyone, the elder bowed deeply. Thank you. Without you, our family's name would have been ruined today, and for doubting you, I truly apologize. Qinlai quickly moved to help him up. Mr. Tan, you're being too formal. I didn't take it personally, Mr. Tan said firmly. As a gesture of thanks, all the proceeds from the jade auction will go to you. Qinlai was about to refuse, but Tan Ziqin quickly cut in. Don't even try to argue. You saved our brand today. If you refuse, it's like slapping our face. Just as the crowd buzzed with excitement, a calm voice called from behind. A man in black stepped forward and bowed. Mr. Qin, young Master Jiang invites you to visit the Jiang estate. He would be honored if you accept. Slightly curious, Qin Li nodded. The man didn't seem hostile. Arriving at the Jiang residence, Qin couldn't help but marvel. The mansion was grand, lavishly adorned, and exuded luxury at every corner. As a door opened, a well-dressed man stepped out with a smile. Mr. Qin, we've been eagerly waiting for you. Please come in. It was none other than Jiang Jun, heir to the Jiang family. Your performance today was extraordinary, Jiang Jun said with admiration. Qinlai offered a polite smile. You flatter me. May I ask why you've invited me here so late? Jiang Jun leaned in. When you kept cutting into the jade earlier, was it because you sensed blood jade inside? Qin Li chuckled softly. When I held the stone, I felt something unusual. I was just curious. Jiang Jun nodded. Let me be direct. I want to ask for your help finding another blood jade. Is that possible? Before Qin Li could respond, The elderly man beside Jiang Jun suddenly started coughing violently. Qin Lai's eyes narrowed, his attention snapping to the old man. The old man looked up, struggling. "Why do you keep staring, young man? Is something wrong with me?" Qin Lai's voice turned serious. "If your condition isn't treated soon, it might be too late." The old man's eyes sharpened. "So Mr. Qin Lai is also skilled in medicine." Qin Lai nodded. "I run a small clinic in Yang City. If you allow me, I'd like to take your pulse." Jiang Jun looked stunned. "You're a traditional healer too. We've seen the best doctors, but no one's been able to help. If you're willing, please give it a try." Qin Lai gently placed his fingers on the old man's wrist, closing his eyes as spiritual energy flowed through him. Within moments, he sensed a sinister energy, cold and invasive, gnawing at the old man's life force. Qin furrowed his brow, flicked his hand, and several silver needles shot out like lightning, embedding themselves with precision. A pulse of spiritual energy surged through the needles, forcing the toxic aura to rise. The old man exhaled a deep, heavy breath. It was like he was releasing weeks of pent-up pressure. He sat up straighter, stretched his arms, and said with surprise, "I feel so much lighter," but then shook his head. "This is just a temporary relief. The root cause remains. Something close to you is poisoning your body." Jiang Jun blinked, "But I've been taking care of him myself. He hardly ever leaves the house." Qin rubbed his chin, thinking, "Has he come into contact with anything new lately? Antiques, jade, anything unusual?" Zhang's eyes lit up. "Wait, yes, I gave him a jade pillow not long ago. They said it would help his health and sleep." He rushed to grab it and handed it to Qin Li. The moment Qin Lai touched the pillow, his face darkened. This piece was likely taken from a tomb. It holds heavy residual energy. Being near it for too long can drain your strength or worse. The old man's expression shifted as the truth hit him. "No wonder I've been freezing every night and having those awful dreams. Burial grounds, bones, coffins." Jiang Jun grabbed Qin Lai's hand, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Mr. Qin, my grandfather's been suffering for years. What you've done tonight, words can't express my thanks. Whether or not you find that blood jade the Jiang family owes you, name it, anything, and we'll make it happen." Qin Lai gave a modest smile. "You're too kind. As a doctor, helping others is my duty." He paused, "But since you've offered, there's something I'd like to ask." Jiang Jun nodded without hesitation. "Say the word. If it's within the Jiang family's power, we'll do it." Qin Lai took out a slightly worn photograph and handed it over. "These are my parents. They went missing 10 years ago. No clues. No leads." Jiang Jun studied the photo carefully, his tone turning serious. "A decade is a long time, but if you trust us, we'll do everything we can. I'll use all our resources to help you investigate." Qin Lai bowed his head slightly. "Thank you. I truly appreciate it." He added, "As for the blood jade, I promise I'll find it for you and deliver it myself." Jiang Jun nodded and handed over a sleek gold card. "There's 200 million yuan on this card to fund your efforts. If you succeed, the reward will be far greater." Before parting, Qin Lai and Jiang Jun exchanged a firm handshake, an unspoken promise of mutual trust. Watching Qin Lai leave, Jiang Jun clenched his fists. If the Jiang family is to rise again, it all rests on this gamble. The next morning, Qin Lai returned to his clinic, exhausted and bleary-eyed. "I really need to find someone to help manage this place," he muttered to himself. Just as he reached for the key, a weak voice called out behind him. An elderly man, drenched in cold sweat, clutched his forehead. "Dr. Qin, I've been having terrible headaches lately. Could you take a look?" Qin Lai stepped forward to help the man inside. But just then, loud voices echoed from across the street. "Grand opening today. Tang's traditional medicine clinic. Master Tang Bohui himself is here. Yang City's #1 physician. Don't miss your chance." The old man froze in surprise. "Tang Bohui, you mean the Master Tang, the most famous doctor in Yang City?" The assistant across the street sneered. "That's right, we're Tang's traditional medicine clinic, not some back-alley quack shop." The old man's eyes lit up at the name. He dropped his cane and rushed across the street, desperate to grab a spot. The assistant leaned in, whispering, "Heard the clinic over there. Zion Kun Hall got busted for selling fake meds. Fled town. Guess they're back again, pretending like nothing happened." Xianli stepped forward, his face dark and cold. "You're spreading lies in front of me. Do you have any idea what that could cost you?" The assistant turned pale, stammering, "I just heard it from someone else." I didn't mean anything by it. Just then, an elderly man with white hair and an imposing presence stepped out of the Tang clinic. He glanced at Xianli with disdain, arguing with an errant boy. Is that all the professionalism you have as a doctor? Stroking his beard, he added mockingly, kids these days think wearing a white coat makes them doctors. What a joke. He turned to the patient and gestured, cool me. Let me take a look. The man took off his cap, revealing a scalp covered in swollen boils. Tang Bohui's expression faltered. In all my decades of practice, I've never seen anything like this. But not wanting to lose face, he quickly composed himself. Simple, just lance the boils and drain the pus. Done, Chin Li stepped forward urgently. No, this needs fire needle therapy. If you puncture it, the infection could spread and become fatal. Tang Bohui scoffed. You really think you can lecture me on medicine, boy? With a swift motion, he punctured the boil. The patient collapsed immediately, screaming in agony before going limp, his face turning deathly pale. Tang Bohui stared in horror at the collapsed patient, stammering, what just happened? How could this be? Chin Li immediately stepped forward to start emergency treatment. But Tang Bohui blocked his path, barking, this is my patient. You have no right to interfere. Without hesitation, Chin Li slapped him across the face. Doctors like you, who treat lives like experiments, have no right to wear that title. He drew out a silver needle, channeled his spiritual energy, and pierced the patient's forehead. But the treatment had little effect. The poison was too deep. The toxin was already in his system. Chin Li muttered, brows furrowed. And now, thanks to the wrong needlework, the cold has invaded his heart, draining his very life force. I'll have to use the burning pulse needle method. It's risky, but it's his only chance. He poured all his strength into the needle, igniting a fiery surge that surged through the patient's body. The toxic chill was gradually pushed out. Moments later, the patient's eyelids fluttered open, color returning to his face. Chin Li finally exhaled in relief, rising to his feet and glaring coldly at Tang Bohui. People like you are the disgrace of our entire medical tradition. Tang Bohui's face twisted with fury. You brat. You dare challenge me. Let's settle this publicly. We'll compete in healing. Loser leaves the field of medicine. For good, Chin Li didn't flinch. Calm and confident, he answered. You're on. News of a duel between Chin Li and Tang Bohui spread like wildfire. By noon, both clinics were packed with curious crowds. Tang Bohui's clinic bustled with patients, lines stretching to the street. But when Tang Bohui glanced across the road, he froze. Chin Li's clinic was just as busy, if not more so. His brows tightened. I've spent over 30 years building my reputation, and that brat hasn't made a single mistake all day. Shooting a glance at his assistant, he whispered something under his breath. A smirk crept onto his face. Time to give him a little distraction. Just then, Tang Bohui approached his next patient, only to pause awkwardly, his face twitching. This doesn't match the textbook symptoms. The tension was broken by the sudden arrival of a flamboyantly dressed woman. Everyone's eyes followed her. She sauntered straight to Chin Li's desk, grabbed his hand, and purred. Doctor, I feel so uncomfortable. Won't you help me feel better? Chin Li remained composed. Let me check your pulse first. As he began the procedure, she trailed her fingers along his palm flirtatiously. Be gentle. It's a deep issue. You might need to spend extra time on me. Chin Li frowned. Her pulse is steady and strong. No signs of illness. Strange. Suddenly, a loud scream erupted from Tang Bohui's side of the street. A man collapsed at Tang Bohui's table, face pale and lips darkened. A misdiagnosis had caused a severe reaction. Chaos broke out as staff rushed to resuscitate him. He's not responding. Get him to a hospital now. Onlookers gasped in horror. Many immediately turned and walked toward Chin Li's clinic. Let's go, this one's clearly safer. That old quack nearly killed someone. Suddenly, the seductive woman staggered on her feet, groaning. Oh no, I feel so dizzy. I'm gonna pass out. With a dramatic thud, she collapsed on the floor, playing the role of a helpless patient. Right on cue, Tang Bohui stepped out from the crowd with a sly grin. Well, if you can't cure her, then I guess this match ends in a draw, doesn't it? But Chin Li saw right through the act. Calmly, he pulled out an extra-large silver needle, almost the size of a chopstick. Holding it up, he announced loudly, her condition is serious. I'll have to use the biggest needle I've got. One wrong move, and oops, she might never walk again. As he stepped closer, he began to count down, his tone cold. 3-2, he whispered before one. The woman shot up from the floor, panic-stricken. Okay, I'm fine, I'm not sick. They made me do it. Tang's clinic sent me. Please don't stick me with that thing. She turned to Tang Bohui, his voice icy. You've lost. Tang's face turned purple with rage. He slammed the table. I'm a renowned physician. Even Mayor Liu shows me respect. Who the hell do you think you are? Qin Li smirked. A real doctor doesn't sabotage others with dirty tricks. If this is what fame looks like, you can keep it. People like you disgrace the entire field of medicine. Without another word, he turned and walked away, leaving Tang Bohui behind, shaking with fury, surrounded by whispers and shame. As Qin Li stepped into the clinic's inner courtyard, a cold female voice rang out. Boss, that man from earlier. Do you want me to take care of him? It was the mysterious woman he had saved from death's door. Qin Li turned back, his tone gentle. How's your recovery going? She replied, calm and respectful. These injuries are nothing. If you need me, just say the word. Qin Li nodded. No rush, rest for now. I'll need your help in a few days. Just then, his phone rang. A deep, unfamiliar voice spoke on the other end. Mr. Qin, I'm calling on behalf of young Master Jiang. The Rajid shipment arrives in Yang City this week. Also, there's something else I'd like to discuss face-to-face. Qin Li replied simply, All right, let's talk face-to-face. I'll send the time and location to your phone, the man added. Cut to Tang Bohui's residence. He was fuming, flipping through a stack of newspapers. Each one praised Qin Li, each headline a slap in his face. Just then, a knock echoed at the door, followed by a sinister voice. What if I told you I could help bring down Qin Li? Tang rushed to the door. Standing there was none other than Liu Mingho. With a twisted grin, Liu handed him a folded slip of paper. This job, only you can pull it off. Tang unfolded it and froze. It was a rare, priceless medicinal formula. The next morning, Qin Li was up before dawn, preparing to head out. He glanced toward the room behind him and casually asked, Want to come stretch your legs a bit? Could help with your recovery. Oh, and there's a small errand today, too. The woman stepped out from the shadows, bowed slightly, and replied, Thank you for your concern, boss. I'm ready, I won't mess this up. Li scratched his cheek awkwardly. It's nothing big, just gonna buy a house. No need to act like we're heading into battle. They arrived at a bustling market, full of chatter and street vendors. Qin Li suddenly stopped, his eyes fixed on a dusty old stall. The vendor grinned, Found this in the field. Looks ancient. You can take it for 500 yuan. Without hesitation, Qin Li paid and casually picked up the rusty dagger. Once they were in a quiet alleyway, Liang Qin couldn't hold back her curiosity. This looks like junk. Don't tell me it's some kind of treasure. Qin Li smirked, summoned a thread of spiritual fire from his palm, and started burning the blade's surface. As the crust melted away, the dagger transformed, its silver body gleaming, letting out a faint dragon-like hum. Liang Qin gasped, What? Is that a spirit weapon? Qin Li, unfazed, handed the blade to her. If you like it, it's yours. Feels like it suits you. Just as Liang Qin happily accepted the dagger, Qin Li's phone rang. On the other end, Chu Qingying's voice trembled with panic and tears. Qin Li, Zetan, she's been taken. Qin Li's face went cold, his eyes instantly sharpened. Without hesitating, he pulled out a gold card from his wallet and handed it to Liang Qin. Something's happened at home. I need to go. You take care of the house. Cut to an abandoned racetrack on the edge of town. Chu Zetan was dragged by her hair. She was forced to her knees, her face twisted in pain. Her ex-boyfriend, Fang Zio, sneered wickedly. Chu Zetan, you've only got yourself to blame. Today I'm taking you, and everything your family's done. Just then, SCRECH. A car skidded to a stop at the edge of the track. The door swung open. Qin Li stepped out, calm and composed. I'm here to redeem someone. But Fang Zio didn't keep his word. He wanted the ransom, and to keep Chu Zetan locked up. A group of thugs rushed at him, but Qin Li sneered coldly and sprang into action. With a spinning roundhouse kick, the first thug flew through the air, crashing hard. What came next was a blur of fists and feet. Every strike was clean, precise, and brutal. Thugs dropped one by one, groaning in pain. Fang Zio stood frozen, eyes wide in horror, watching his so-called backup get wrecked. In the blink of an eye, Qin Li slammed him to the ground and unleashed a flurry of punches, leaving Fang totally helpless. Su Zeshan could only stand there, stunned. This guy, was this really the useless brother-in-law she used to mock? The next morning, Chin Li headed back to his clinic. Liang Qing was already there. She greeted him with a sharp report. "Boss, it's done. We can head to Tianhao Real Estate today to close the deal." Chin Li smiled, a rare softness in his eyes. Maybe it's finally time to give Chin Li a real home, he thought. "Let's go," he said, eager. No time to waste. But just moments into the trip, his phone buzzed. An unexpected call interrupted his thoughts. A cheerful voice rang out on the other end. It was young Master Jiang. "Brother Chin, guess what awesome news I've got. I just bought 10 commercial units in Jiang City, all under your name, ready for you to open more clinics." Chin Li was shocked. 10 stores, isn't that a bit much?" Jiang laughed. "Come on, don't act so surprised. They're still under renovation. You'll need them soon enough." Chin Li replied politely, "Well, I really appreciate it." Jiang's tone turned serious. "Appreciate what? You saved my grandfather's life. We owe you everything. Honestly, I just hope you'll bring your talents to Jiang City soon. Oh, and I've got a villa ready for you as a welcome gift." Chin Li quickly declined. "I actually just found one I like. No need to trouble yourself, Jiang." After hanging up, Chin Li and Liang Qin pulled up at the Tianhao Real Estate showroom. The moment they stepped inside, the staff rushed over with fake smiles, but their eyes were glued to Liang Qin, ignoring Chin Li. "Ms. Liang, what a surprise. Didn't expect you today. Is Mr. Qin not coming?" Liang Qin frowned, her voice cold. "Manager Yang, this is my boss. He's the buyer of Villa Number 1. Manager Yang gave Chin Li a judgmental look, her eyes full of scorn. "This guy must be some sugar mommy's boy toy. No way he's the real buyer." She smirked inside, remembering. "Mr. Zhao already offered me $500,000 under the table for Villa Number 1. Why waste it on trash like him?" She put on a polite, dismissive face and said, "Sorry, but Villa Number 1 has already been sold to another client. You can leave now. We'll refund your deposit." Liang Qin's face went icy. "We were the first to pay the deposit. What gives you the right to sell it to someone else?" The saleswoman scoffed, pointing to Chin Li. "Right, look at him. Villa Number 1 is for elite clients, not some nobody who dresses like that." Chin Li stayed stone-faced. "So this is Tianhao's idea of credibility, breaking deals without notice." The sales rep rolled her eyes and sneered. "Credibility? Please. Guys like you, pretty boys leeching off cougars, aren't even qualified to walk into our showroom, let alone buy a villa."